Hi, everyone. This is Tracy Malone from narcissistabusesupport.com. Whether you're watching me on YouTube or you are listening to me on a podcast, I want to welcome you and thank you for being here. If you haven't subscribed to my channel, please do. I would appreciate that. Today, I'm going to be talking about parenting plans. And when you're going through a divorce, parenting plans with children are essential for you to begin to figure out what your rights are. What we need to understand and switch the concept of that parenting plans are just about parenting time and decision making. Those are certainly big things, but it's the financial part and the unsettlement of that that creates disputes and creates post-divorce abuse in the financial realm, where just because it didn't say they pay for braces, they don't. And arguments ensue. And I have three parents right now that are literally paying for braces because the fight with their spouse was just going to be too expensive. And it'd be cheaper to buy the braces for $10,000 than fight their ex in court. I don't want you to be in a position where your children need something. You didn't anticipate it. You didn't think about it. Maybe your kids are little and they haven't even got their big teeth yet. And so how would I know they're going to need braces? Why would I even think about putting something like that? Well, I'm going to go through a couple of different things, how you can financially protect yourself in a parenting plan. Uh, we have to remember if we don't talk about it, then we're going to fight about it. It's just a fact. If you haven't thought about it, just like the braces example, it'd be like, well, it doesn't say we have to pay for that. And you get yourself in trouble because you don't know what you don't know. And yet you didn't put in the protections anticipating what could come. So, as we look at the financial parts, um, a lot of lawyers will say things like, well, if they don't do it, don't worry. They'll be in contempt and you could take them back to court. If your lawyer ever says this to you, they're not doing you a service. They are doing you a very, very bad disservice because you do not want to end up back in court for every little expense, for everything that could go wrong. Every time you want to go back to court, $10,000, $5,000, $20,000 just to fight for something isn't right. So you can put protections in that financially protect you, right? Um, and unfortunately, it's pay now and take the time to know what you have to do or pay later after you have, had this situation and now you're trying to put something in place to protect yourself from that situation. So it's a complicated thing. What I want to start with is child support and defining what it covers and also what it doesn't cover will stop a lot of financial fights. Most states have their own declarations of what it's supposed to cover. And it's a portion of your mortgage or your rent. It's a portion of your car to transport the children. It's their food, it's their clothing. It doesn't always include the extracurricular activities, the camps, the expensive, like the braces and the things that your kids are going to have, phones, cars, things like that. What are you going to do when your 16-year-old gets their license? Are you going to get them a car? Have you guys thought about that? Have you talked about it? Are you going to split it? Is one parent going to be the responsible one to do it? Who's going to register the car? Who's going to pay for, the lessons and the license fees and all of that stuff? If you are trapped for money, those expenses add up fast. And so defining what child support covers or what it doesn't by saying something in there, covers blah, 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 but it also does not include the extracurricular activities or camps or whatever you want to include that it's not included. Just put it out there so that way we build the clauses later that say this is what is covered, right? So start with that. Make sure you define what child support covers. A lawyer is going to say, well, it's well known. You don't even have to put it in there. If you have a narcissist, you have to put everything in there because narcissists don't ride, they ride the gray areas, the black and white thinking, but they'll find a little tiny nugget in between that twists it, And he goes, well, I think we could do it this way. And they're trying to gaslight you into something. So you need all this protection. When your lawyer says you don't need protection, tell them it's a one-line thing and just make them put it in because this is your life, your future, and your children's. And your financial risk is not something he's going to be there for unless you pay him $10,000 to get started. So let's try to build as much as we can in. Let's define that. Then the next thing I want to talk about is bigger ticket items. So computers and phones. What are we going to do about the car if the kid is old enough, or who's going to register it? Things like that. If you can set a budget in your parenting plan for big expenses like that, then you know what to expect. If you're going to be splitting the computer or something as big as that, again, having a budget going, hey, I'm not splitting more than 1,000. If you want to get them a $2,000 computer, I only have to cover the half of that first 1,000 that I agreed to. Right? So you're protecting yourself in many ways, right? Um, Phones and computers, children break. It's just a fact, right? They're in the playground and they're in school and it's in the back of their pocket or in their purse or their backpack and boom, it hits the floor. So I always tell my clients to make sure that you ask that if we buy phones and if we buy a computer, that we also get some kind of warranty, some kind of insurance. You can always get the phone replacement kind of insurance when you buy a phone. Do it. Kids will break it. And so often, if it says we'll split a phone in the decree, for the children, and you have to define what age are we going to split them? What age is our children going to get a phone? If they're 5 now, are you giving it to them because the divorce is and they want them to have a phone? Or is it a teenager? You can define things like that and hopefully come to an agreement with your ex as to when this is going to happen, right? But if we think about getting insurance for any of these big ticket electronic items, we just agree we'll get that insurance and we'll split it. That way, if the kid drops the phone, the narcissist doesn't say, it only says I have to buy a phone. I'm not replacing that phone. Happens all the time. Trust me. I'm telling you this because this is what narcissists do, right? Another big ticket item could be professional costs. And professional costs are mediators, therapy, things like that. We're not getting into the medical things yet with braces and all of the other things that we want to map out. But professional costs, if we have to go to a mediator, if we have to send the children to therapy, if we have to hire a guardian ad litem or a CLR or PRE or any kind of professional that has to be engaged in your life post-divorce, should be whatever your split rate is. And depending on who makes the money and that sort of thing, your lawyers will be deciding it's a 50-50 split, or father takes 80-20, whatever it is. You just need to have it outlined and make sure that you're protected. When you can get into a situation where you're getting life insurance for the value of how much support you will be getting over time. So let's say you have 10 years of support coming for your children and your alimony as well. Get life insurance for that value. Ask for it. You're entitled to ask for it. You might have to fight for it, but if you can get life insurance, that just protects you in case the other parent passes. I've had clients in situations where the other parent did pass away, shortly after the divorce, and then what happens to the child support? What happens then, right? So life insurance is something you can have it, but I want you guys to also ask when you're asking for life insurance for the value that you need to cover, that you also determine who the beneficiaries are and who is obviously will probably be for the kids, but then you need to have someone assigned as sort of the executor who's going to be in charge of doling this out and giving the kids, again, if it's for support, it could be with someone like a lawyer or somebody doling out your support every month from the life insurance. You can set all these rules. You can ask what your possibilities are and get that sort of stuff, because we don't want to be left without anything if they were to die. And also when you're doing that, I really, really like my clients to ask for a proof of policy. So maybe every January 1st, you request a copy of the policy showing it's been renewed. And having the copy also prevents you from having what happened to someone I know was when there was life insurance, but the spouse did not know the life insurance company, did not know how to reach them, and they died. And then it took like months to dig through and figure out. And by then, because this person had been dead for several months by then and not paying their premium, there was a risk involved, and so it just became another loophole to go through. So you got to protect yourself as many ways as you can. So that's life insurance. Make sure you get it. Make sure you get the copies. Make sure you get proof. Make sure you get the contact information so that in the event something happens, you have it all in your drawer. um, Another thing that I really like people to make sure that they do a double check on is expense reimbursement. This again, we're in the financial realm here. Well, you just paid for camp and it cost you $2,000. What's the policy? How are you going to get it back? When do you get it back? Will it come through Zelle? Will they give you a check? Will they do this? Will they do that? Right? There's so many different options, but you can define them. But you need to understand how long they have to reimburse you, method and modality. It could be a Zelle, it could be a PayPal, it could be a whatever. You just have to define this is how and when we'll get the expenses reimbursed, right? And again, so many of my clients end up buying those braces because they didn't know that the other parent wasn't going to ever pay, and taking them back to court isn't going to work. So when it comes to expense reimbursements, you need to know, how am I going to get this money back, especially if things are tight. If you are living on the support from your ex and you're living, mouth to spoon, you really need to know what to expect. And so mapping it out is going to help. So those are some of the things I want to tell you about. And I have a new website. It is called parentingplans.org. I've created a course that is the most robust course to educate you and teach you exactly what you need to think about and protect yourself with. I'm going to be making a lot more videos about parenting plans, so subscribe to my channel and you'll be getting them. These are just a couple of the little hints, and I want to get started with those, but there's a plethora of information out there of what you need to do. And sadly, lawyers don't understand the damage that narcissists can do post-divorce. They know what's happened during the divorce, but they aren't even putting the protection in most of the cases to make sure that you do get your expenses reimbursed or this is protected. I want you to think of it from that lens and go to my website. I have a whole bunch of blogs like, what's the best parenting time schedule for infants, or how do I do this? Go to parentingplans.org and learn more about this. If you are going through this, you need this information. You need to know how to protect your children and your future financially. This is Tracy Malone. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look forward to seeing you again soon. And again, subscribe to my channel. I'll see you soon.